everybody, and welcome to Banfield. Great to have you here on this Monday. We have just come back from CrimeCon. And if you have never been to CrimeCon, why not? You should have gone at some point, and if not, you should consider going because it is really something to behold. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of information and show you some very, very cool things that happened at CrimeCon, including some very exclusive, let's just keep it a secret for now. Exclusive material that we uncovered, things that happened that were fully unexpected and frankly, really delightful. One thing that I will tell you is that I connected with Gabby Petito's parents, her step-parents and her parents, and just had a really great heart-to-heart with them. And then today news broke, and it was unreal. 3 summers ago, if you can believe it, it's almost 3 years today, a couple months from now, but that Gabby was killed by Brian Laundrie. And all of a sudden the FBI, we now have some of the things that they seized from the Laundrie home. Brian's journals, not the ones that were found in the, game park where he was dead. His scrawlings and his etchings 2 years before they even went on their road trip, talking about how he would kill himself, bizarre ramblings about setting himself on fire, having nightmares that Gabby would leave him. It is twisted stuff, including some drawings of like a skull. I'm going to show all that to you tonight. Again, this is just coming out because the FBI's had it under wraps all this time. And then Gabby's parents and step-parents are going to join me live on this program. And for the first time since the tragedy, her brother is going to join us as well. I had a delightful opportunity to meet TJ at CrimeCon this weekend, so it's going to be really good to have him on the program tonight. Also, the pastor husband of Micah Miller. This story will not go away. First of all, people were protesting outside of his church yesterday. They want answers as to why Micah is dead, right? But then there's also some really weird stuff going down with Pastor JP. For one, he's dressing up in a Spider-Man costume and walking around his neighborhood. And we have the video to prove it. And we also have the interview to prove it. He gave an interview to a TikToker named Justin on TikTok, and told us some things. You're going to hear all of that, and you're going to hear from Justin on TikTok. And here's this video showing, if you look close, that's him in a Spider-Man suit. Why? Good question. But we're going to show you the photo where he wore that Spider-Man suit with Micah before. And then there was one moment at CrimeCon that has really stuck out to me. It was a moment where everybody was watching their phones together. I mean, everybody. And it was the moment the Chad Daybell death penalty came down. And you first could hear a pin drop, and then it was a roar. I'm going to go back to all of that with you. And also, first national interview, exclusive interview. Larry and Kay Woodcock going to join me. Kay has been involved in that trial. She was a witness and she wasn't allowed to speak. Now she can. And she's going to speak with us tonight with Larry. Let's start here. Gabby Petito would have turned 25 years old this March. March 19th was her birthday. But her exuberant young life instead took a tragic series of turns, and she died at the hands of her boyfriend, the man that she was planning to marry. Brian Laundrie is that killer. He murdered Gabby and he left her body in a national forest in Wyoming. That was August of 2021 when Gabby was just 22. And we know Brian was guilty because of the evidence, circumstantial and otherwise, but mainly because he admitted it, writing a detailed confession in a notebook as law enforcement was closing in on him. But then he disappointed a lot of us by denying a murder trial and denying justice. Laundrie killed himself in that nature preserve near his Florida home. And since then, the FBI has periodically shared with the public some pieces of their investigation. And today, they released some truly jaw-dropping items collected in the Laundrie home in Florida. This is one of them that was made public today for the first time. A full-page drawing by Laundrie, a skull, and the words, "kill," over and over again, along with the words, "trust no one." Investigators also recovered brass knuckles and hundreds of bullets with a crossbow that had a scope attached to it. There is a copy of the novel Choke. That's about a man that pretends to almost die and then takes advantage of the people who save him. And there are several more books that were hollowed out, apparently to use them as hiding spots. But the most chilling evidence from the grab bag that was released today are words from Laundrie himself, reportedly written in the months before he and Gabby even started dating officially. He writes this: "About a year ago, I went into a type of mania where I was smashing holes in the wall with my head, kicking through paintings, tearing whatever I was working on, pouring gasoline on myself to burn alive, but getting the lighter wet. Parking out in Murderland and listening to Mac DeMarco with a gun to my head. Wrestling alligators. I wanted to die. And the weird thing is, nothing's changed, but the timer is running down." Over the weekend, I had that great pleasure of spending time with Gabby Petito's parents and step-parents at CrimeCon in Nashville and meeting her brother as well. And they are kind enough to join me now live. Gabby Petito's mother, Nicole Schmidt, her father, Joe Petito, her stepmother, Tara Petito, and stepfather, Jim Schmidt. And we're also pleased to be joined by Gabby's brother, TJ Schmidt, for his first national interview since the tragedy happened. Thank you, all of you. I'm so glad to see you today. And it was really such a wonderful chance to get together over the weekend and spend some time. And I'm very thankful that we were able to talk and have a drink and just, see each other in a different environment than we're seeing each other now. But I do want to get your reaction. And Joe, I'll begin with you. This sort of incredibly strange and disturbing evidence that we learned from the FBI today. I understand it was new to you guys as well.
It was new. None of us have seen that before, and it's upsetting, but I guess it's pretty clear, at least in my opinion, or I would say our opinion, that Brian was probably having some type of mental health crisis and might have, would have been positive to him to get that type of help.
Nicole, as Gabby's mom, as you look back, do you think that Brian was hiding those extraordinarily troubled thoughts, that it was almost impossible to see red flags in him?
Absolutely. The Brian that we saw was not the things that we learned about today. That was the first time, like Joe said, that we seen that. Actually, when you just read it in the beginning of the show, that was the first time I heard those words, because earlier in the day when it came out, I didn't actually read it. But it's just hard to hear. I think there was definitely a mental health crisis going on there and could have been taken care of. TJ, it was really nice meeting you. It feels like it was only a few hours ago, but I think it might have been a little over 24, 48 hours ago. I can't even count at this time. And you've been really behind the scenes. Very few people have heard from you since the tragedy of losing your sister. But you were front and center at the Gabby Petito Foundation booth at CrimeCon, and you had a lot of people coming by your booth. I wanted to just get your feeling and your thoughts about what it was like to sort of come in contact, and there's you with a volunteer who was with you, but to come in contact with so many people who were at CrimeCon who, for lack of a better description, kind of wanted to share the love and let you know how much they support you and your family. What was that like, TJ?
It really truly is an amazing community, and like you said, everyone that comes up really just wants to help, and they're so nice. And when they share their stories, or when another victim comes up to me and says that my sister's story was the one that got them out of their horrible relationship, then those are the things that keep us going. They give us all the energy and everything. It's all the motivation we need.
So, Tara, I'm going to get you to jump in as well. And then, Joe, I'm going to ask you a little bit more, too, and Jim. But you guys were all wearing these black T-shirts, and I think you might be wearing them now, although our banner is sort of covering what you have on. Is it the Burn After Reading T-shirts that you have on?
Not those, Ashleigh, not those.
Not, okay. All right. It was hard to tell. You've got the foundation T-shirts, but at one point at the convention, you guys had Burn After Reading T-shirts. And, for those who weren't familiar, that was etched in the letter that Roberta Laundrie wrote to her son, Brian Laundrie, saying basically, I'll have a shovel for you and a file in the cake if you're ever, in trouble and behind bars. And then Burn After Reading. But there's the letter. There it is right there. Gosh, it's so great to see you guys together doing that. But I do want to ask you, Tara, what Tell me a little bit about that, the idea behind it, and what it was like to be able to give, as a family of 4 parents, the victim's impact statement.
Well, that is why we wore those shirts. We wore them while we were reading our victim impact statement. My victim impact statement was directed straight towards Brian himself, what he has put our family through, the pain that has caused us. But this was a little, I guess, burn towards Roberta. That's why we had to wear them. They are up on our store. Yeah. So people can go there.
Okay.
People can go there to purchase them.
That's the other interesting thing.
They all go.
Yeah, you guys were like
go to the foundation. So
exactly what I wanted to say. At your booth at the foundation, there was merch being sold, and Jim, weigh in on what people, what their reaction was. People wanting to sort of be a part of your movement.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's 2 years in a row we've been there. Just more and more people each year keep coming up, wanting to do something, wanting to help. And this year we were thankful that we were able to drive a lot of them to the foundation store to raise some money. That money goes directly towards a lot of the programs we're looking to do, which include prevention and education programs for schools that we're working on. We have some meetings coming up very soon to get those going. We got some training going for domestic violence for first responders, as well as some much needed work in the missing persons realm. So all those people coming up, every dollar they spend is going to help support those programs, and we are grateful for it, and really hoping to make a big impact.
So I want to ask you a little bit, Nicole, about the statements that you guys made over the weekend. Super profound and really, really moving. Also very newsworthy. And I want to just draw our viewers' attention to the fact that you said that you forgive Brian Laundrie. That was really surprising. I'm going to read your actual words here. You said, "I speak for myself here when I say, Brian, I forgive you. I needed to release myself from the chains of anger and bitterness that I refuse to let your despicable act define the rest of my life. Your atrocious decision to take a life, my daughter's life, has ignited a fire within me, a fierce determination to protect the innocent from falling victim to monsters like you." And then you turned your attention in your statement to Brian Laundrie's mother, Roberta, and you said this: "I see no empathy in your eyes, no remorse in your heart, and no willingness to take responsibility for your actions. You do not deserve forgiveness. You deserve to be forgotten." So I guess it's 2 questions here, Nicole. One is, how did you arrive, at forgiving Brian? And then, do you think you're ever going to hear from Roberta Laundrie?
So I get this question over the last 48 hours, but it's really, for me, the forgiveness. I feel like it was something for me to let go of, and it was a way for me to move forward. With Roberta, it says it in the statement. I don't think that she's deserving of any more attention or deserving of, being in my space and in my head. So I let that go, and I just don't want to think about her anymore. I'm moving forward either way without that forgiveness for what she had done. But I'm not going to think about her anymore.
I think that's probably pretty healthy, frankly, knowing what you guys have gone through. TJ, I think about you and your sister. Man, those pictures of her, she's just such a joyous spirit. And I don't even know her. I just feel like I can see it through the photos. And I was wondering, as a brother, do you recall the last time you spoke with her and what your conversations were?
I actually do, yes. She was just leaving for her trip, so of course it was very much about that, but it was also, I had just graduated high school, so she was telling me good luck with, being an adult and finally being in the real world, stuff like that. So that was, that's most of what I remember from our last conversation.
It's awesome how much you guys look alike. I'm just looking at the picture, and you can certainly tell that you guys are siblings, and looks like you have the same smile as well. Real quickly, Joe Petito, give me the information for the foundation for our viewers.
Well, you can go to the GabbyPetitoFoundation.org, see a lot of the stuff that we're doing, trying to do, advocate for, but because of kind of the stuff that you discussed earlier, can you put up a number for us? And that is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline, which obviously, listen, mental health, you want to help domestic violence? It starts with mental health, just the same. So 1-800-662-HELP is a number that you can start and look for, help to get the services you need to take care of what's going on up here. Because that's for everybody, so that's an important number to have. So thank you for putting that out there.
Hey, we got your back, and we were thinking 2 steps ahead. We knew that was something that would be important as we make these really tough topics sort of known to our viewers. But I am so thankful to you guys. Thank you so much for doing this, and it was great meeting you. I keep saying it, and I'll say it early and often. Joe, Nicole, Tara, Jim, and TJ, best to you, and let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
All right, you guys, take care. Be well. Coming up, people handle grief and stress and loss in very different ways, and in general, it is no one's business. But when you are a clergyman, from whom many people expect good things, and whom many suspect of driving your wife to suicide, and you decide to wear a Spider-Man costume all over town, let's just say that is not how to put suspicions to rest. After a break, a bizarre update in the Micah Miller investigation and some newly discovered facts that her family says they don't add up. That's next.
AirPlay and Alexa.
It can be overwhelming to take care of a loved one with Alzheimer's disease. I am Dr. Griffin Rogers, Director of the National Institute of Diabetes, Digestive, and Kidney Diseases at NIH. My colleague, Dr. Richard Hodes, Director of the National Institute on Aging at NIH, explains.
Caring for a person with Alzheimer's disease can be rewarding, but it can also have high physical, emotional, and financial costs. The demands of day-to-day care, changes in family roles, and healthcare decisions can be difficult. Caregivers may feel that they don't know how to care for a person with Alzheimer's. There are programs to teach families about the various stages of the disease and ways to deal with difficult behaviors and caregiving challenges. Having a strong support network can help. Joining a caregiver group can provide caregivers with some relief, a way to share experiences, get tips, and receive emotional support.
For more information on Alzheimer's disease, visit nia.nih.gov/Alzheimer's and follow us at NIDDKGov.
Those who believe that Micah Miller didn't take her own life, or that if she did, she was driven to do it by someone else, or that she somehow had help doing it, those doubters keep finding new facts and new oddities to point out. And I'm going to get to the oddities in a moment. But first, a quick refresher. Micah was the wife of a South Carolina pastor, and police say she died by suicide in April, 2 days after she served her husband, John Paul, with divorce papers. In the weeks and months before that, Pastor John Paul admitted to placing a GPS tracker, multiple trackers, on her car, slashing her tires, and posting a topless photo of her online. Today, Micah's sisters told NewsNation exclusively that when her body was found, there were unexplained bruises on her hands.
There were definitely bruises on Micah's hands that the medical examiner had no recollection of. And I did ask him personally, is there any chance that a body would have bruises on it from collecting from the water or someone touching her after examine her or anything? And he said, there's no chance of a body bruising after the heart stops.
On Sunday, dozens of protesters held a Justice for Micah rally in front of John Paul's church in Myrtle Beach. And that brings me now to the oddities in the story. Today, we got our hands on some exclusive new video of Pastor John Paul walking outside his house in a Spider-Man costume, head to toe. The same one that he wore with Micah in previous Halloween pictures. The neighbor who shot the video tells NewsNation that he has seen JP driving different vehicles around town, sometimes all on the same day, and then parking them in different spots, like way down the street or way up the street, and then walking back in his Spider-Man suit to drive the vehicles back home. And no, I cannot explain this any more than what I just said. And then there's this. Pastor John Paul was wearing Micah's necklace in an interview just days after her death. And not just any necklace, the necklace, the one that she was wearing when she died. A true crime influencer asked him about it, and here's what he said.
One of the things that has been said, and this was a couple of weeks ago, that a lot of people made a big, I don't say a big issue, but we'll say big deal about, was a necklace that you were wearing in the interview after she passed away. Was that actually hers, or did you just have a similar one?
No, that was definitely hers. I got it. So she passed away on the Saturday, and then Sunday when I went and saw her, they handed me some stuff, and that was one of the things they handed me. And that necklace was, she could hear something or see a commercial and then immediately want to act on it. And so she heard about these lab diamonds last year, and so even though she loved her wedding engagement band, she wanted the real diamond taken out of that, and she wanted a lab diamond put in. But she didn't want to get rid of that diamond, so she wanted to put it inside of a necklace. And so I had it made into a necklace for her. He was wearing that, and the nurse gave me that on that Sunday. And so before I even left the hospital, I already had it on. Okay. I just had not taken it off. And actually, I'd forgotten it was on the next day or two or whenever the interview was. I just, but yeah, it's a girl necklace. So I just wanted to feel close to her, so I wore it, when they gave it to me. Why did you have her cremated? Someone said. I did that because that's what she wanted. We talked a lot about what would happen if one of us passed, and that's something Micah wanted and something I want as well, because we don't believe that the body matters as believers, and so that's what she wanted. Yeah.
That TikToker who did the interview is Justin Shepard, and I am joined now by Justin Shepard. He's better known as Justin on TikTok with more than 1.3 million followers. Justin, it was really great meeting you at CrimeCon this weekend and being able to talk a little bit about this case off camera. So let me just ask you, that was an unusual interview, and congratulations on scoring that. What did you make of JP in that interview, and then the Spider-Man video?
So first, yeah, it was wonderful meeting you also. And, I was really quite shocked about this interview. When we had gotten on that evening, the other TikToker who goes by the handle, the iPhone Guru, when you walk out of his house, you can see JP's house. So he's been kind of going out there filming when he's getting served, things like that. And anyways, long and short of the story is that JP texted him. This particular individual invited him to come on a live with myself and another creator, the Robbie Harvey. And when he went by there later, JP just happened to come out. That was not expected. I was really quite shocked about it. And then to answer your other question about this, with the Spider-Man costume, I can't guess what's going on in JP's mind. He could be trying to have fun with people. He could be going crazy. He could be going stir crazy, because I know one of the things he said in that interview as well, that he's basically become very reclusive, and he hates being, separated from his church and all the people who he likes to go out and eat. So maybe he's just trying to keep himself. I honestly have no idea with this guy.
Well, there's certainly a lot of critics. I mean, many of them were out in force outside the church on Sunday, and they say they're going to be there every Sunday, looking for what they say justice for Micah. So for those who are critical of him, what do you make of the answer that he gave regarding why he was wearing Micah's actual necklace that was on her body when she was discovered?
Well, I think that a lot of people are going to be critical of him to begin with. I mean, even he knows I'm critical of him. But people have been really wondering about that necklace, and I think it is another piece of the puzzle that people were wondering about. And now you have an answer, at least his version of that answer. He says that he got it, as you heard him say, after she had passed. He got it from the hospital and said that he wanted to wear it to be close to her. I don't know. We could take that at face value. I've heard that some people online, other people think that it could be a little bit more than that. It could be, a trophy of some kind. Again, this is a guy who has kind of been very quiet. You have a lot of police reports about him, a lot of things coming out about him, and it's really kind of hard to pinpoint him because there's just so much about him to even try to venture that guess.
Well, we certainly welcome him to come on this program and give his reasonings for all of the behavior, the unusual behavior, and some of the things that have been reported about him that have been disturbing. The GPS tracker, the topless photos, when he was seen on videotape tracking his wife to the gas station. I want to ask you one last question, Justin. The divorce and estate case, it looks here like it's due in family court on Wednesday. Did he make any comments about that in your interview with him?
He didn't make any comments about that, not even alluded to it. He answered a couple questions from viewers, talked about some tattoos, answered a couple questions, and he was only on there for about 15 or so minutes. But, I've also been talking to Micah's family, so I know that there's stuff going on and they're prepping for that trial that's coming up. And going back to what you said a second ago, so he is still messaging me, still texting me, and I told him tonight that I would encourage him, if he really wants to put his story out there, to come on your show, that you would give him a neutral platform to be able to share it. And if he wants his story out there and wants people to stop, and basically to clarify and have people stop spreading rumors, what he perceives to be rumors, then that's what he's going to need to do, whether he wants to or not.
I always say, if you got nothing to hide, just, get out there and tell your side, And Justin, I hope you'll come on the program again. It's been great talking to you. Really appreciate your good work.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it. Still ahead, it is never easy to sentence someone to death. But let's face it, some defendants make it less difficult than others. Last week, a jury in Idaho did not even break a sweat, sentencing a newly convicted triple murderer to the ultimate punishment. And their verdict was greeted loudly by cheers across the country, including that ballroom you just saw, 2,000 miles away from the courthouse. You're going to hear from some of those revelers. Yes, it was CrimeCon. Wait till you hear what they had to say. It's next. As many of you will know, I have been pretty vocal about it. I spent the weekend at CrimeCon in Nashville, and we did our show there from Friday. And I was also honored to host the Clue Awards, given out yearly at CrimeCon, celebrating the best in the true crime genre. And I was thrilled to meet so many professionals, content creators, fans, and crime survivors, all of them comparing notes about hundreds of different cases, many of them still unsolved. But there was one case that united virtually everyone this weekend. It was the murder trial of Chad Daybell. Daybell was convicted on Thursday of murdering his first wife, Tammy, and murdering the two younger children of his second wife, Lori Vallow. And on Saturday, Chad Daybell, along with the rest of us, learned his sentence. He's going to die for his crimes. In Nashville, dozens and dozens and dozens of people huddled shoulder to shoulder wherever they were around the court TV monitor. And this is what it looked like.
The jury has returned its special verdict on count one. The defendant is sentenced to death.
After the death sentence was read, we asked people at CrimeCon what that meant to them, and this is what they said.
For Chad Daybell's sentencing, we happened to be sitting across from the Court TV booth, so they had it on the screen, and a lot of the attendees were watching, and everybody, like the room burst out in cheers. So that was actually good. I think that's the right sentence. I can't imagine any other sentence.
There was a big cheer when he was sentenced. People were very happy about it. I'm not so much on the death penalty, but I believe if anybody deserves it, he does.
And word got around really fast that it was that Chad had been sentenced to death. A lot of opinions have been shared, and it's interesting to know that him and Lori were charged with the same thing and did have different sentences. And I think the conversation now is, why did he get a different one than she did? And obviously there are big feelings surrounding it, and I'm glad he was found guilty and is being punished.
Oh my gosh, when I heard all the cheering from the witnesses over, I asked our neighbors what it was, and they said Chad Daybell got the death penalty, and everyone was cheering. I got chills. Even chills just rehashing this story is crazy, but well deserved.
And I definitely think it was a sentence that was deserved just based on all the emotions that like captivated the nation.
I am joined now on the phone by someone perhaps most affected by that wrenching moment and was there in the courtroom in real life when that death sentence was announced by the judge. She is the grandmother of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, Kay Woodcock. Kay, this has got to be such an exhausting time for you, having just come out of that lengthy and painful trial. He got the death penalty. Lori got life. Does it feel like justice for you?
Absolutely. This trial was different than Lori's trial. It was, I don't know, seems like it was more exhausting. It just, because we are both just wiped out, but we are very pleased with the outcome. We just had 2 jurors visit us at our apartment here in Boise, and getting to meet them and seeing how they saw things and just it was healing for them, and it is healing for us. And we're praying that they're going to spread our number out to the other jurors, and we want to talk to all of them because we did that in Lori's trial as well. After her trial, we met with many of the jurors, and it was wonderful to get their perspectives, and in both cases, the jury made the best decision, and we're very pleased.
Absolutely.
Did they say anything, Kay, that stood out? Like we knew from the very moment of opening statements, or did they say it took them some time to come around to it? Like, how did they characterize their experience and their deliberations about Chad?
Well, they can't talk about it at all during the trial. And so they were they just sometimes just wanted to scream and like, okay, let me talk about it. And they couldn't talk about it to their spouses or anything. So it was very hard for them. And I can truly understand because they saw so much evidence and they listened to a lot of testimony. And
they analyzed.
Oh yeah, they truly analyzed. They broke it down and analyzed it, and they really looked at it like it was a business deal or something. But
it was under a microscope.
It was under a microscope, but
everything.
Yeah, but it was amazing. It was, I don't know, it was very hard for them. It was difficult throughout the whole thing because they couldn't talk about it. But man, when they could talk about it, they said they just went on and on and on, for hours.
Saying how easy it was to convict him and then the death penalty, all of that. Did they say that was ultimately an easier decision?
They never said anything about anything being easy. I know that. Nothing's easy. Wow. It's like whoever you're going to sentence to death, that is huge.
Yeah. And it is not an easy ever. It's never an easy decision, even when the case is overwhelming. And Kay, I know that you have had a really long day for starters, but then also you've got the Arizona trial coming up. So I want to table our conversation and have a longer conversation when you're free and able to do that as well, because I know you're testifying. Thank you so much for this tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ashleigh.
All right. Best to you and to Larry, and I hope you guys are well, and I look forward to our next conversation. Coming up next, we think of our interstates and our major highways as lifelines in our country, and so they are. But they are also the scenes of an awful lot of murders, hundreds over the past couple of decades, many linked to serial killers, and many never linked to anybody to this day. A former FBI assistant director just rode more than 2,000 miles across this country looking for answers, and he joins me live next with the shocking tie that binds those hundreds of murders out on the open road. Back after this.
Scientists and veterinarians, I was able to develop a long-lasting litter with advanced odor control, low dust, and most importantly, color-changing technology. So give it a try. Visit prettylitter.com today.
If you didn't already know this, the open road across the country isn't just a place to get out into the sunshine. It is also a place to stay hidden in the shadows. There is a huge connection between long-haul trucking and serial killing. And don't take my word for it. For 20 years now, the FBI has maintained the Highway Serial Killings Initiative, which now contains at least 850 cases, as many as 200 of which are unsolved as we speak. What exactly is it about highways and truckers and murders? Quick and easy getaways, for one thing, and victims who tend to be under the radar and on the margins already. Case in point, Keith Jesperson, the happy-faced killer, and now frequent letter writer to this program. Jesperson was a trucker, and in his most recent letter to me, he told me how he used his rig to help him commit his crimes. Take a look at this. Knowing what I know, he writes, I would have convinced her to come with me in a ruse of switching my empty trailer for a loaded one at the Scale House on Highway 14 near Interstate 82. Made love to her until it was dark, kill her and tie her body to drag on the pavement back west as far as it took to cancel her. He's talking about shredding a woman that he murdered under his truck by dragging her for hundreds of miles, something he actually did to one of his victims. Frank Figluzzi knows a lot about truckers who murder and is, in fact, laying it all out in his latest book, Long Haul, Hunting the Highway Serial Killers. He also happens to be a former assistant director of the FBI and a friend of mine for, well, at least 2 decades now. We first met covering the War on Terror over 20 years ago. It's so good to see you writing about the true crime genre, Frank, and it's really nice to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was great to see you at CrimeCon, Ashleigh.
It really was. And we had such a brief conversation because I knew we were going to be talking tonight. But I wanted to ask you how long it took before the FBI realized that they had a thing, like they had a connection between serial killings and hundreds of them and long-haul truckers.
You know, as is often the case, Ashleigh, the FBI is not necessarily coming up with creative ideas until they are dragged into it, almost shamed into it by local, county, or state law enforcement that demonstrates the need for the FBI to come in. And that was the case with the development of this initiative. It was an Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation crime analyst, a woman named Terry Turner, one of the heroes in my book, who back in about 2003 realized that there were at least 10 young women missing from Oklahoma that had turned up dead around the country near highways. She told the FBI persistently, you've got to get in here and take a look at this. And when they did, they said, this is serial killing and we are in. And that was the birth of the Highway Serial Killings Initiative, first acknowledged publicly by the FBI in 2009.
So there you are, out with the suit and on with the traveling clothes. 2,000 miles, I think you rode with long-haul truckers across the country to investigate this book, which is, I mean, really remarkable legwork, to say the very least. I want to be really clear. There are so many incredibly wonderful truckers out there. I've met so many truckers that I just adore. I think they're just fantastic. They've got great perspective. And yes, there are bad apples in every bunch. But what did you learn in those 2,000 miles, Frank?
First, I'm glad you added that because my book is partially dedicated to the stalwart American trucker. They are an essential part of our economy, and I was blown away by the impressive nature of modern day trucking and the impact on our economy, which is staggering in itself. But also staggering, Ashleigh, are the numbers associated with this FBI initiative. As you said, 850 murders just in the last few decades of women, sex-trafficked women, along our nation's highways. The FBI makes no bones about it. They believe this is the work of multiple serial killing truckers. There are already 25 long-haul truckers in prison right now for multiple murders. 200 of the 850 cases are considered unsolved and active. And when I asked the FBI, how many suspects are you working right now? They said 450. My 2,000 miles was eye-opening. I'm telling you, it's not the Ritz-Carlton in the back of that truck. I was sleeping on the top bunk, the top sleep in the sleeper berth. We ate in the truck. I learned a lot about how to get the truck weighed, the points of distribution and securement. I rode flatbed, very physical, loading, unloading, chaining, tarping, and strapping. There's all different kinds of trucking explained in this book. And then I focused on the road, interviewing women who have been trafficked to truckers and survived violent encounters.
Well, that's why the book is going to be amazing, and I can't wait to read it. You've done two things that I love. You've got the crime, and then you've got the trucking culture, which I just think is awesome. Let me plug it again. It's Frank Figluzzi's really well-researched book, Long Haul, Hunting the Highway Serial Killers, and it is out now, so be sure to grab a copy. And by the way, while you're at it, get all of his books. You're just terrific at what you do. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
Good to see you, as always. Coming up, a surprise jailhouse call comes in just as Laura Ingle is interviewing famous attorney Mark Geragos at CrimeCon. Look at this.
Lyle?
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Locked up for killing his parents, Lyle Menendez has been making big plans, he tells CrimeCon, in case the day arrives that he walks free from a California prison. You're going to hear that call next. I always want to know how people who are locked up for a long time, or maybe who have just been locked up for the first time, actually spend their time. And most of them are happy to tell you. Drew Peterson, the wife killer, told me that his main event is TV, and others like to write letters. But Lyle Menendez is a different story. As you know, Lyle and his brother Eric are serving life with no parole for killing their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, back in '89. Over the weekend, he was able to place a surprise phone call to his lawyer, Mark Geragos, while Geragos was being interviewed on stage at CrimeCon by my colleague, Laura Ingle. He talked about how busy he's been. He's overseen the redesign of the prison yard. He has talked with Rosie O'Donnell about starting a foundation to help survivors of child sex abuse. And, by the way, he told the crowd that he is about to graduate from college. Take a listen.
I'm coming to visit you this month for a very special occasion. Can you tell them what it is? I believe June 20th? No, not what you think, Laura.
June 20th, right. That's when I get my bachelor's degree in sociology at UC Irvine. It's the first time that a University of California university has partnered with corrections to have a very small graduating class. I managed to earn my way into it, so about 23 incarcerated guys will be graduating on June 20th, so it'll be exciting.
If you're wondering why somebody who's locked up for life still needs a lawyer, Geragos is trying to get the brothers a new trial based on the new evidence of their own sexual abuse at the hands of their father. So stay tuned. And that is it for us tonight. But as always, I'm so appreciative for you watching. Stay tuned. Cuomo starts right now.
I'm Chris Cuomo. We have a few days before the NBA Finals begin, so we have to get after it. And by it, I mean the real game, the one that's going on in Washington, D.C. Lawfare is all around us. Yes, that includes the New York case against the former president, in my opinion.